Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. I'm your host, and today's explainer is all about putting on our digital detective hats. We're diving headfirst into the initial vulnerability assessment. So, if you've ever wanted to step into the shoes of a cyber sleuth and hunt down Web3 smart contract bugs, well, you are in the exact right place. Okay, let's dive right in.
You know, the core philosophy of our entire mission today is actually pretty simple. Reproducibility is the currency of a good finding. We aren't in the business of chasing ghosts or, spreading hearsay. If you claim you've found this devastating vulnerability but you can't prove it repeatedly, it's really just a rumor. So our entire job today revolves around building an absolutely airtight case using hard evidence.
If you recall our previous lesson on building an audit checklist, we were dealing entirely in theory, right? We built this brilliant list of potential threats. But now we are crossing the chasm into reality. We're taking those theoretical test cases and translating them into undeniable, concrete proof. No more guessing, just hard, factual evidence.
So here's our investigative roadmap for this phase of the capstone. 1. The mission. 2. Setting up. 3. Gathering evidence. 4. Documenting. 5. The checkpoint. And 6. Wrapping up.
All right, part 1, the audit detective's mission.
We aren't just aimlessly wandering through lines of code, hoping to magically trip over a bug. Not at all. We're on a targeted hunt for the specific vulnerabilities we already outlined in our threat models. Think of it like having a highly detailed sketch of the suspect before we even start the patrol. So, what exactly is a vulnerability assessment? Well, it's the process of turning a suspected smart contract flaw into a proven reproducible exploit. We're basically acting as the prosecutor here. We need to gather enough technical proof to confidently convict a buggy line of code.
Moving on to part 2, setting up the investigation.
Before we can interrogate the contract, we need a perfectly clean crime scene. No muddy boots allowed. You definitely don't want a detective contaminating the evidence. So our toolkit requires 3 main things: the contract source code, our annotated checklist, and absolutely crucially, a local testing fork. I really cannot stress this enough, guys. Always use a local fork or an isolated testnet. Testing your exploit directly on the live mainnet is, well, it's a fantastic way to accidentally rob a real bank, severely upset a lot of stakeholders, and probably end up in a real-life police interrogation. So let's keep it local, okay?
Which brings us to part 3, gathering concrete evidence.
With our toolkit ready to go, it's time to apply some pressure using frameworks like Hardhat or Foundry just to see exactly where the code breaks. We do this through state change analysis, and it's really just a simple 3-step process. Snapshot the pre-state, execute the vulnerable function, and snapshot the post-state. Think of it kind of like a bank robbery. You check the vault's balance before the robber walks in, you watch the robbery happen, and then you check the empty vault afterward. That difference between the pre-state and the post-state, that is your smoking gun.
And when you finally find that smoking gun, you have to bag and tag it properly. Our digital evidence bag needs a few things: the console output, the transaction receipts, saved as JSON files, and those before and after snapshots we just talked about. Organizing all of this in clean project folders means reviewers can follow your forensic trail effortlessly. No guesswork required on their end.
Next up, part 4, documenting your findings.
Now that we've collected our evidence, we actually have to write up the official police report. Mastering this kind of structured documentation is a huge, central part of our learning programs here at Forge College. It's all about communicating a bug so incredibly clearly that it just cannot be ignored. We use a standardized finding report card. Every single piece of bagged evidence fits perfectly into specific fields, things like title, affected function, reproduction steps, evidence, preliminary severity, and rationale. It takes all the chaos of a vulnerability hunt and distills it into this neat, undeniable package for the reviewer.
Now, for this specific capstone module, your magic number is 3. Your goal is to find, verify, and fully document at least 3 candidate findings to successfully complete this phase. That means 3 solid, totally undeniable bugs written up perfectly with their pre- and post-state evidence. It is a challenging benchmark for sure, but hey, nobody ever said being a cyber sleuth was easy.
Okay, part 5, the reproducibility checkpoint.
So, you've found your 3 bugs, and you've written them up in your report cards, but are they actually real? Before we can consider any finding final, we have to put it through the ultimate lie detector test. The absolute critical question you have to ask yourself is, can another auditor reproduce your work with 1 click? If the answer is no, well, you don't actually have a finding. You just have a very frustrating "it worked on my machine" excuse.
We need undeniable vulnerability. That means if a colleague runs your code on their machine, they get the exact same exploited state every single time.
So how do we guarantee that one-click reproducibility? Simple. By using an automated lie detector, like a verify repro bash script. By writing a very simple script that automates your test and explicitly checks the logs for the expected outputs, you provide deterministic, airtight proof. You aren't just asking the reviewer to trust you, you are physically handing them automated, undeniable proof that you're right.
Finally, Part 6, wrapping up the case.
Let's zoom out from the code for just a second here. What are your key takeaways to close out the investigation? First, evidence granularity absolutely matters. Don't just say a function broke, provide the exact JSON receipts. Second, severity needs explicit justification based on attacker capabilities, not just your gut guesswork. And third, always maintain traceability back to your checklist. Tracing your hard evidence directly back to the initial theory makes the reviewer's job incredibly painless.
But I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought today. You've done the hard detective work. You've gathered the airtight evidence. You've even passed the reproducibility check. But how do you actually convince the jury? How do you take all these highly technical findings and draft a final report that non-technical stakeholders will actually understand and act upon? Well, that's exactly what we're going to tackle in our next lesson. Until then, I highly encourage you to visit forge.college to master even more Web3 security topics. Keep practicing those forensic skills, and happy hunting.